So let's start with defining the problem. So in defining the problem, students discuss with a group to identify what the problem is all about from the text that they've read or from the situation that they have. And then they need to write down the identified problem on the board and brainstorm or get some other people's ideas in their group how to solve the problem at hand. So when they clarified already the type of problem that they have to solve, they have to exchange ideas um, and then understand the problem some more. So in this case, they have to encourage each others to contribute, even if their contribution is minor, but then it is respected and listed down, so that in the end, this will contribute to the clarification of the given problem that they have. Um, from that step, they have to review step two and step three. Uh, to be able to remember what they have contributed the day before. In this step, they need to formulate a tentative solution to the problem that they have. They have to come up with their hypothesis. Uh, these hypotheses are written down on the cause and effect column of the four column table that they have started with the day before. So in the steps, they need to formulate the learning objectives. So students will agree on achievable hypothesis and the comprehensible learning objectives to ask. They have to write it down also on the board that they have started a couple of days before. The next step is this is an individual activity where individual members of the group will gather information on the given learning objectives that they have. They're given a minimum of 2 days time frame to find sources and validate resources that they have before they will convene again and contribute to the task for the group of the group. So the next step is synthesis. So in the synthesis part of the PBL, during the final step, they have to share their research result to their group. Students in their group analyze and identify the problem and work together to come up with a solution. So out of those contributions that they have, it is like searching for related literature, which solution is more relevant to the given problem at hand. So they have to like kind of identify it and at the same time critique its other's contribution and then filtered out which is more suitable, which is more applicable. The last step is feedback. So the feedback will come not only from teachers, but it will come also from students regarding the individual and group contributions and the way they set up the tasks. They will also consider the teacher's guidance in this regards. So this process is aimed to improve the work process until the next session. So PBL doesn't come from nowhere. Of course, in education, we always want to improve our practice. So PBL came about because of debate on efficient and effective ways for teacher to teach, and also debate on the efficient and effective ways students learn. And this led to several methods of teaching, which, when tried to different types of learners, it works, but it may not work to everybody. So the methods of teaching were all based on various ways to learn and to acquire information. And in all these types of methods, what came out was that motivation is considered to be very critical in students' learning. So learning methods to acquire and learn new informations were based on various learning theories, which I will show you next. If you can remember in educational psychology, we studied some of these individuals who contributed to the learning theories. One of that is Donald Schoen, reflective practitioner. The very popular is also John Dewey's learning by doing. Also, we're familiar with David Cobb's learning circles. And very popular for constructivism, we have Jean Piaget's cognitive development theory. For language, we have Krassen's input hypothesis. And for scaffolding, we have Lev Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. So all of these contributors were considered to be the basis or the foundation why we have a project-based learning at this moment in time. So the next step that we have to consider right now is to look how project-based learning is done in a STEM classroom. So as you could see right now, this project is about a forensic project. Here, the students are doing a math and science forensic project. So in teams, they use the scientific inquiry process to collect clues, test and analyze evidence, and draw conclusion to solve a crime. So this is a project about crime scene investigation in a PBL class. The other thing that you are looking right now, which is a physics project. So this project, the students gather on data on a road hazard to help them explore laws of motion in everyday events and apply their understanding. They also collect data on local traffic hazard through surveys and blogs. They use this data to deliver presentation to city planners proposing changes to dangerous road sections or intersections. This project right now is an elementary project. So this is about a student who tried to develop expertise on frogs by investigating frogs' habitats and observing frogs' behavior. What the student do is share her expertise in the form of brochures for visitors or for audience in a local zoo exhibition. This project that you're looking right now, you can see students taking different parts of the bike. They take it apart and then examine it. So this is actually an algebra and bike PBL example. So algebra students learn about equations by investigating one aspect of bicycle. So using bicycle related relationships such as wheel diameter and coasting distance, they apply math formulas to analyze how bikes function. So they do some computation and later on this will lead to some problem-based examples where students have to problem solve. What you're seeing right now is also an example of an elementary students who learn about health, nutrition, consumerism, while at the same time they're applying a proportionality solution to some of these problems in nutrition. And the other example is in a language class or an English class where students read stories about heroes of Greek mythology and compare the characteristic of a Greek hero to modern day hero. So in this project, they compare the Greek heroes with the modern day heroes, and in this case, firefighter, for example. So what they do is they choose a contemporary hero, which is the firefighter, and then write a myth about becomes part of a collective book, share it with the audience in different forms. So project characteristics. So project characteristics can be seen in terms of roles, project structure, and learning experience. So for the roles, students are at the center. Teachers are considered only as facilitators. And there is always an opportunity where students work with peers. They can also talk to experts and other community members who have some knowledge and contribution to the project. So in the end, the purpose is students become expert themselves. In terms of structure, you notice that the project, it must be aligned with the standards. So if the standard is in algebra, the project must be following also the algebra standards. And it incorporates also the 21st century skills in this instance. In terms of assessment, students are being assessed using multiple types of assessment. So, in terms of learning experience, the project involved tasks and activities which span for maybe the whole year or the whole semester. It has a real world application, and the students must show knowledge and skills through products and performance. And then they must also have a technology support to enhance the learning. So in terms of assessment, students are being assessed before the project, during the project, and after the project. They're being assessed during brainstorming. Their anecdotal notes and project plan and checklists are also being considered and assessed. Their journals, the way they collaborate, the way they work as a group, and also the rubric for grading which they come up with are also being assessed. And in the end, when the project is done, their reflections are also being considered and assessed. So, what's the purpose of the assessment? So, for example, brainstorming, students use brainstorming to access prior knowledge and use it to gauge readiness for the unit. So, in brainstorming, you can already tell if the students have something to contribute, because we understand that when students come into class or when you start a project, they don't start with an empty brain. Some of them, they already have some prior knowledge and experience when it comes to that. Also, journals, for example, students answer prompts in their journals related to the unit. You can ask critical thinking questions to assess their thinking and also their understanding of the content knowledge. So these are some of the things that we use for assessment purpose. So assessment methods and instruments so include, for example, graphic organizers, observation and anecdotes, written, video or photo, student-led conferences during presentation, and also some of the planning documents and rubrics that they have. Also, we grade by looking at the creative process, collaboration, self-description, problem solving, and academic standards. It can be both individual and group grades. So, PBL is really very advantageous. Why? Because project-based learning engages students in complex real-world problem that is academically rigorous. Students use prior knowledge, and they also exercise their research skills. They also determine what new knowledge and research skills are needed to acquire new knowledge. And also, students gather information from various sources, including people from the community and expert. Also, project-based learning engages students in complex and real-world problems. Relevant to students and community